Good afternoon, all of you. Today I'm going to give a lecture on normal distribution. In the previous class, I have explained about descriptive statistics and inferential statistics, difference between percentage and percentile, measures of central tendency and calculation of mean, median and mode, outliers, how mean is affected by the outliers, and what is the ideal measure of central tendency if data contains the outliers. Median is ideal measure of central tendency if data contains the outlier. Next, finally, I explained about measures of dispersion and various techniques, range, standard deviation, mean deviation, and interquartile range. Data contains the outliers. We have to choose interquartile range in measures of dispersion. So what is the best measure of central tendency in central tendency? Mean is ideal measure of central tendency, because most of the cases we in data analysis we exclude the outliers. First we have to identify the outliers, then exclude all outliers, then you will get the homogeneous data. Then you can apply mean in central tendency and standard deviation dispersion. Ideal measure of dispersion is standard deviation. Scientists Yule made some rules, and majority of the rules satisfied by the mean and standard deviation. Okay, so this is I have given lecture in a previous class, and today's learning objectives. At the end of this session, you will be able to understand normal distribution and standard normal distribution. I'm again explaining central tendency and dispersion because it is linked with the normal distribution. What is central tendency? It is used to represent entire data of a variable with a single value. One minute. Here, mean weight of 100 healthy Indian men was 62 kg. Here, sample size is 100 collected weights, and the mean weight is 62 kg. So 100 individual observations data we are representing with a single value, that is 62 kg. Okay. So these are the methods in central tendency, mean, median, and mode. See here one example. A sample of 4 subjects, each were selected in 3 different areas, and their mean weights are given below. This is area A, B, C. This is the classification variable. Area wise we classified the data. In area A, total 4 samples are collected, and their mean weight is 60 kg. Whereas in area B, again 4 samples collected in area B also, and their mean weight 60. And in case of area C also, mean weight is 60. So what is our interpretation? According to measures of central tendency, mean weights are same in all 3 areas. This is the original data. In area A, the first sample mean is 60. Sorry, first sample weight is 60. Second sample weight is 60. Third sample 60, and fourth sample weight also 60, and average is 60. The area B, first sample weight is 50, second sample 60, third sample 60, and fourth sample 70. Mean, this case also 60. And area C, the first sample weight is 40, second sample 45, third sample 75, and fourth sample 80. Here also mean value 60. In all the cases, mean is in all the areas mean is same, but observations are deviated from the mean value. See here, there is no deviation. All the observations, individual observations are 60 and mean also 60. Here deviation is 0. This case deviation is there. Here huge deviation you can observe in the area C. These variations, these deviations we can measure by using measures of dispersion. In real time, zero deviation is not possible. Suppose your weight compared with your friend weight, even same age group, same gender, weight may vary, height vary. You can take hemoglobin, any biological variable if you take, it may vary from person to person. The same value you cannot get even you take the homogeneous samples. So zero deviation is not possible. Suppose all students got same marks, all weights are same, all biological variables are same to all people, then there is no need of biology, no need of mathematics, no need of statistics. These deviations are being created by the God, and these deviations are being measured by using measures of dispersion. Here, measures of dispersion, which is used to measure the variability. Different techniques are there: standard deviation range, mean deviation, and interquartile range. Remember, if data contains the outliers, then you can apply interquartile range. Our ideal measures of dispersion is standard deviation. Majority of the used rules satisfied by the standard deviation. So that this is the best measure in measures of dispersion. Okay. See how individual observations are spreaded from the mean value. You can see here. In case of area A, mean 60, B 60, and in case of C, mean weighting here also 60, but observations are widely scattered from the mean value. See, these are the descriptive statistics. As I said in the previous class, if data follows normal distribution, data variable is quantity, you can represent descriptive statistics, measures of central tendency, mean, in measures of dispersion, standard deviation. Okay. Here, in case of area A, total 4 subjects are there, and their mean weight 60, and there is no deviation, 0. Standard deviation is 0 here. And B, deviation is 8.2, and in case of C, deviation is 20.4. That means on an average, how individual observations are scattered from the mean value, we measured here numerically by using measures of dispersion. By seeing this information without seeing individual observations, we can only with the measures of central tendency, we should not take the decisions. We have to take the support of measures of dispersion. Okay. By seeing this information, we can say that there is no deviation, means all observations are same, all 4 observations are same. Here some deviation is there. And here, there is huge deviation you can observe in the area. See, that means individual observations are not nearer to the mean value. Okay. By seeing descriptive statistics, you will get a rough idea about the data. Okay. How the mean is and how observations are scattered from the individual observations are scattered from the mean value. You will get an idea by making descriptive statistics. Okay. In biological data, no 2 measurements in man are absolutely equal, not even the means of 2 series. For example, the cure rate in typhoid with the same drug varies in different patients. Mean height of students of the same age group at one place will differ from that at the other place. Okay. You can take one group and calculate the mean, and another place you can take some samples and calculate the mean, same variable, it may differ. And here the Q rate in typhoid with the same drug, you can take homogeneous sample and you can give the drug, and person to person Q rate may differ. Okay. Next, this is a homogeneous group. Age is same, and gender is same, place is same. I mean, this is the homogeneous group. If you take weights, see, if you take weights from these four samples, it varies from person to person. Okay, even if you take a homogeneous samples, you will get some deviations. The deviations we can measure by using measures of dispersion. So these are all time to time changes. So before marriage, before pregnancy, after pregnancy, see, there is a weight improvement. So time to time changes, deviations, and place to place changes. See here in another country, you can observe the weight, and in our country, so you can observe the weights. So place to place deviations. And next, variability being a biological characteristic, no single measurement or observation of a variable is considered as an indicator of normality. See, you can take some samples and homogeneous samples you can take, all are all healthy, and large samples so you can take and collect any biological variable. For example, you can take hemoglobin and calculate the mean hemoglobin for that sample. For example, mean hemoglobin is 14. We have a single value. For example, we have taken consider we have taken 1,000 samples. 1,000 samples hemoglobin's mean value is 14. We cannot say that the 14 is normal value. See, some samples data may be less than 14, and some people hemoglobin value more than 14 also in this homogeneous group. If the single value, we cannot say the normality. An interval defines the normal limits of a biological characteristics. In biochemistry, you have observed a number of biological variables. You can take thyroid profile, T3, T4, TSH, or height, weight, whatever it may be. All the hemoglobin normal limits, any normal limits, one minimum value is there, maximum value is there, one interval is there, not a single value. Okay, how to derive normal limits and what is behind normal limits, we will see, I will explain in this lecture. So it is normal limit. Actually, here BMI normal limits 18.5 to 24.9. What is normal? If observations fall within a particular range, here 18.5 to 24.9, we can, I mean, a particular any person is in a normal condition. What is abnormal? If observations fall outside the normal range, then we can call him as, I mean, he is an abnormal condition, so that reasons have to be searched by the physician. See, if it is less than 18.5, a particular person is in underweight, so that we have to start some treatment and we have to convert abnormal to normal. That is the role of physician. Any abnormal condition is there, then you can give some treatment and convert abnormal to normal. For this, you should know what is normal limits. Then only you can decide whether the particular person is in abnormal condition or not. First, you should know the normal limits. Okay, but how to find these normal limits? How we get this 18.5 to 24.9? We will see. So how to represent the whole data of a variable with a single number? We know mean, because when we are calculating normal limits, first we have to take healthy subjects and homogeneous group, so that you may not get outliers in this case majority of the times, so that you have to take mean in measures of central tendency. And how to measure deviations in the data of a variable. If variable follows, do not contain the outliers, I said, which one is the ideal measures of dispersion? Standard deviation. Okay. So we have to accept the variability in the data. With a single value, mean value, we cannot say the mean value is normal value. And we can measure the deviations also. The deviations we have to accept either sides of the mean. So you can subtract deviation from the mean, you will get the lower value, and you can subtract deviation from the mean, you can get upper value. Okay, an interval you will get. So, but what amount of variability we have to accept, and minimum acceptance value, what is the maximum acceptance value, and how to calculate this interval, I will explain now. So what is normal distribution? Now it is used to define the limits of normality. It describes the distribution of frequencies of any variable such as height, weight, blood pressure, bleeding time, clotting time, etc. Normal limits for a biological characteristic such as weight, platelets, hemoglobin, etc. is worked out after measuring the characteristics in large number of healthy persons, because we are giving normal limit, so that we should take healthy people and that to large number of same age, sex. That means, for example, if you take uh, hemoglobin, males different, females different, children different, and in pregnancy normal limits of hemoglobin is different, so that we have to take here homogeneous data. The mean pulse rate is 72, but up to what limits it may be normal on either side of the mean has to be established with the normal distribution. Mean is 72, we cannot say 72 is the normal. Some observations are below the 72 in healthy group, and some observations are above the 72 in the individual data. So that we have to accept the deviations here. We have to find the lower limit and the upper limit. Okay. So this is the procedure. First, we have to collect the data from healthy, homogeneous population. Next, data must be continuous and large. I will explain what is continuous, and make the continuous frequency distribution table. See, this is the continuous frequency distribution table. See, what is continuous data? I will explain. See here, weight, this is class intervals, weight class intervals. So 50 to 55 kg, total 24 members are there between 50 to 55 kg. Okay. And next class interval starts with the 55. Suppose if any value, any weight, any observation weight is 55, can we count in the first class interval, or where we have to count in the first class interval or second class interval? We have to count in the second class interval. This is called an exclusive class interval, not inclusive class interval. Suppose if you end this one with a 55 and it starts with a 56, then where you will include 55.5 kg. See, it ends with a 55, and if it is starts with the 56, you cannot include 55.5 kg, because it ends with the 55, it starts with the 56. So that any fraction values are there, then it is called as continuous data. How many values are there between 50 to 55? If the data is weight in the form of kilograms, then infinite number of values are there between 50 to 55, not a 5 values. Okay. So this is called continuous frequency distribution. See, 50 to 60 in this interval, total 160 members are there. So what is total sample size here? 1000 subjects. So here 1000 large data and collected hemoglobin, and all are all healthy and homogeneous subjects. Okay. Sorry, not hemoglobin, weight. Okay. So next you have to draw histogram. You have to take on x-axis class intervals, and y-axis you have to take the frequency. Okay, we will see how graph will look like. See, this is the graph. This is the histogram. These lines represent, it is called the histogram. There is no gap between the bars. If gap is there, then we can call it as bar diagram. Why there is no gap? Because this is a continuous data, so that there is no gap between the bars. It is called the histogram. Okay, this curve, this red curve is called normal distribution curve. Okay, we have to take variable on x-axis and its frequency on y-axis. You can draw the histogram, and this line, this curve is called normal distribution curve. Okay. See here, mean is 65. Standard deviation is 5 kg. So deviation is 5 kg. And what is sample size is equal to 1000. If the graph is in bell shape, mean is approximately is equal to, median is approximately is equal to mode, and symmetry, then it indicates that the data follow normal distribution. This is a crude method. Actually, whether the data follows normal distribution or not, some methods are there. Kolmogorov's Marino method. Many methods are there. By using these methods, we can find whether the data follows normal distribution or not. But those methods are not in your syllabus. Okay. I will explain. See here, this is in the form of bell shape. And mean is approximately is equal to, median is approximately is equal to mode. Why? Because 65 is most frequently repeated value. So that 65 is mode, and 65 is in the middle position. That means 50% of the observations are before the 65, and 50% of the observations above the 65. So that is it is in a middle position. So that 65 is called median. And if you calculate, if you take thousands of observations and calculate the mean, it is also equal to 65. This is the property of normal distribution. Mean is approximately is equal to, median is approximately is equal to. And what is symmetry? So from the mean, left side data is 50% and right side data should be 50%. So that is called the symmetric distribution. The bell-shaped curve, mean is approximately is equal to, median is approximately is equal to mode, and symmetric curve. This is skewness. The formula is that if skewness is 0, that means distribution is symmetric. Okay, you forget about the skewness because it is not even your syllabus. Okay, so data followed the normal distribution. So these are the area properties. See here mu means mean. Sigma, this symbol sigma means standard deviation. Always mean at a center position. Here mean means mu means mean. Okay. Next, we know mean is the single value. We have to accept the deviations in the data, so that if you add deviation to the mean, then you will get mean plus standard deviation. If you subtract standard deviation from mean, then you will get the lower limit mean minus standard deviation. This interval covers 68% of the data. So you take 100, in the previous example, 1000 samples are there. Out of 1000, 682 weights comes under mean plus or minus 1 standard deviation. Here we have taken all homogeneous samples and healthy, but we are giving confidence limits only 68%. So that you can increase the deviation, so that your interval will increase and many samples will come into that interval. So that you can increase the deviation 2 times, then 2 into standard deviation, add to the mean, and 2 into standard deviation subtract from the mean. Mu mean sigma standard deviation, mean minus 2 standard deviation, mean plus 2 standard deviation. This range covers 95.4% out of 1000 samples, out of 1000 weights, 95.4%, that means 954 samples comes under mean minus 2SD to mean plus 2SD. This is universally accepted normal limits, 95% confidence limits, that is mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation. If you increase 3 times the standard deviation, that is mean plus 3 standard deviation and mean minus 3 standard deviation, subtract 3 times the standard deviation from mean value and add 3 times the standard deviation to the mean value, you will get one lower limit and upper limit. This area covers total 99.7% of the data. 1000 observations out of 1000, 997 observations comes under mean minus 3, mean plus or minus 3 standard deviation. But universally accepted normal limits, 95% confidence limits, that is mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation. See, I will explain with this. See, observe here, this is the weight, this is mean value. What is the standard deviation here? 5. So mean plus or minus 1 standard deviation, 65 plus or minus 5. 65 minus 5, 60. And 65 plus 5, 70. This range 60 to 70, it covers total 68% of the data. And if you increase the standard deviation 2 times, 2 into standard deviation, 2 into 5, 10. 65 minus 10, 55. And 65 plus 10, 75. Between 55 to 75, this area covers total 95% of the observations. What is the value? What is the variable here? Weight is the variable. We have taken total 1000 samples and made a class intervals and frequency, made a graph, and it follows the normal distribution. When will you apply these area properties? Only if data follows normal distribution. You don't take some observations and calculate mean plus or minus SD, that is a normal limit. First data follows the normal distribution, then only you have to apply area properties. Okay. So what is 95% confidence limits here for age 55 to 75? This is 95% confidence limits for weight. Okay. And you can increase the deviation 3 times, 3 into 5, 15, 65 minus 15, 50, 65 plus 15, 80. This interval covers total 99% of the data. Okay. So universally accepted normal limits, mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation, that is 95% confidence limits, 55 to 75. Okay. So these are the properties of normal limits. It should be in bell shape, and mean is equal to median is equal to mode, and symmetric curve, and area properties. Mean plus or minus 1 standard deviation covers 68%. 2 standard deviation range covers 95% of the observations, and mean plus or minus 3 standard deviation covers 99% of the observations. For example, hemoglobin values were collected from 500 healthy females and it follows normal distribution. Then mean hemoglobin is 13.5 and standard deviation is 0.25. Find 95% confidence limits. So how to find normal limits here? So what is the formula for the 95% confidence limits? Mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation, because data follows normal distribution with mean 13.5 and standard deviation 0.25. Here mean is 13.5 plus or minus 2 into standard deviation 0.25. 2 into 0.25, 0.5. You can subtract 2 times the standard deviation from the mean value, and you can add 2 times the standard deviation to the mean value. Then you will get the normal limit 13 to 14, 13.5 minus 0.5, 13.5 plus 0.5. So this is the normal limit. So that means 95% of the hemoglobin values in the range 13 to 14. See, I have taken data. Don't correlate this one in clinical way. You don't correlate. You don't take why 13 to 14 is normal limit. In our textbook, this value is different. So I'm explaining how to calculate normal limits. So what is the formula and what is the procedure I am explaining. Don't correlate this one. Myself, I have taken this data, so that this is a procedure how we have to calculate the normal limits. Okay. If data follows normal distribution, 95% confidence limits, mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation. We know the mean value and standard deviation, and these are the limits. This is the way we have to calculate normal limits in biological data. Okay. So this is the assignment. Please note down. A sample of 1,000 healthy homogeneous males was selected at random, and their creatinine followed normal distribution with mean 0.9 and standard deviation 0.15. Find 95% confidence limits. Please note down. Your mean creatinine 0.9 with a standard deviation 0.15, and data followed the normal distribution, and find 95% confidence limits. This is the assignment. Next. So this is the normal distribution of hemoglobin. See here in x-axis hemoglobin values are there. This is the middle value. This is mean value 13.5 with a standard deviation 0.25, and the sample size is 1,000. And see, observe here. This is the distribution, normal distribution for hemoglobin, and this is the normal distribution of height. See. N number of, we have infinite number of normal distribution. For all the biological variables, we can generate one normal distribution. Different normal distributions are there. Okay, depending on mean and standard deviation, we have N number of normal distributions. Okay. We know the area, 3 areas, we know 68% is area, and 95% and 99%. For example, mean plus or minus 1 SD covers 68%, mean plus or minus 2 SD 95%, and mean plus or minus 3 SD covers 99% of observations. But here I wanted to know, I wanted to calculate the area between 13.6 to 13.85. See here, this is the mean value. We know that here mean is 13.5, and mean plus or minus 1 SD covers 68%, mean plus or minus 2 SD 95%, 3 SD 99%. Okay, but I want the area between 13.6 to 13.85. So you have a number of, for example, this is the hemoglobin. You can calculate for each interval. You can calculate the area under the curve, but you cannot calculate for all the variables in a biology, because infinite number of normal distributions are there for each distribution. For every two intervals, you cannot calculate the area. Standard areas are there, plus or minus 1 68, 95, 99% areas. How it will cover, we know the standard areas, we know, but any values, suppose this is the values 13.6, 13.85, between this area we cannot calculate by using normal distribution, because normal distribution values depends on mean and standard deviation. For weight, mean standard deviation is different, height mean standard deviation is different, and number of distributions are there, so that we cannot calculate area between two values by using normal distribution. To solve this problem, we have to convert every normal distribution into standard normal distribution. I will explain the second concept, standard normal distribution now. Okay. Although there is an infinite number of normal curves depending upon the mean and standard deviation, there is only one standardized normal curve which has been derived statisticians to estimate easily the area under the normal curve between two ordinates. You have to convert x to z. X means the original variable. It may be height, it may be weight, it may be hemoglobin. Any original variable, it represents with x, and we have to convert this x to z by using one formula. I will show you. A normal distribution with a mean 0 and standard deviation of 1, then the distribution is called as Z distribution or standard normal distribution. So this is the transformation formula. Z equal to x minus mu by sigma. Here mu means mean, sigma standard deviation. Okay, I will explain with an example. See here, these are all weights. Here variable is weight, original variable x is weight, and mean is 65, located in the center, and standard deviation is 5. First, we have to convert this distribution, normal distribution, into standard normal distribution. Okay, by using the formula z equal to x minus mu by sigma. X minus mu by sigma means x minus mean by standard deviation. Mu means mean, sigma means standard deviation. We will see how it will convert from x to z. Here, what is the value here? The original value is 50 here. And how to convert x to z? By using this transformation formula. The x value is 50, mean value 65. So 50 minus 65 is equal to minus 5, divided by standard deviation 5. Then you will get minus 3. Minus 15 by 5, that equal to minus 3. What is the next value? Many values are there between 50 to 55. I am giving this example. 55 will convert to, so the value is 55. You can subtract from the mean value and divide it by the standard deviation. 55 minus 65, 10 minus 10 divided by 5, that equal to minus 2. Next value 60. 60 minus mean, individual observations minus its mean by standard deviation. 60 minus 65 minus 5 divided by standard deviation 5 minus 5. So this is the mean value 65. 65 minus, this is the observation also and mean also 50, 65. 65 minus 65, 0. Numerator 0. 0 by 5, that is equal to 0. And next 70, 75, 80 will be converted like 1, 2, 3. This is the Z distribution. You take any normal distribution and Z values we can convert from minus 3 to plus 3 by using this transformation method. Z equal to x minus mu by sigma. Here the mean value in standard normal distribution mean is 0 with the standard deviation. See here the difference is deviation is 5, 65, 70, 60 to 65 difference is 5 standard deviation. Here the difference is 1. So in a standard normal distribution, mean is always 0 and the standard deviation is always 1. Why we have to convert x to z? Any normal distribution we can convert to standard normal distribution. Always x values minus 3 to plus 3. These values you will get in a x-axis. Okay, this is the standardization of normal distribution. So that I will show that. So these are the areas. So for example, if you want to find the area between 1.2 to 1.5, this area. Already scientists made a table like logarithm table. I will show you in the next slide. They made a table. We can find area between any two ordinates. But this axis, x-axis should be same. But if you take the original normal distribution, x-axis will differ. If you take weight, these values are different. If you take height, these values are different. First, we have to convert all normal distributions into standard normal distribution by using this formula. Then always you will get x-axis these values. Then by using that standard normal distribution table, we can find the area between two ordinates. This is the concept of standard normal distribution. I will show you an example. Any normal distribution can be converted to the standard normal distribution using the Z transformation. The Z score can be used to determine an area under the curve known as probability. I will explain what is probability. See here, a percentage is a total 100. For example, area under the curve is 100. From mean to left side, 50% area is there. From mean to right side, 50% area is there. But here we are not representing with the percentage. Here we are representing with the probability. So maximum value of probability is equal to 1. So total area under the curve is equal to 1. That means from what is the middle value? Middle value is the mean. Because mean is equal to median is equal to mode in normal distribution. So middle value is the mean. From mean to left side, the area is, if maximum and area under the curve is 1, then area between area from mean to right side 0.5. If it is percentage, 50%. If it is probability, 0.5. Area before mean to from mean before the area. What is the area? 0.5. I will show you 1 minute. See here, 65 to this area, right side area. From the mean, right side area is 50%. From the mean, left side area is 50%. If you speak about the percentage, that is 50% on right side and 50% left side. Probability, what is the maximum value? 1. Area under the curve is 1. So that from mean, the area right side is 0.5 and left side is 0.5. Total area is equal to 1. Okay. This probability is calculated as the area under the curve between the values of interest. Okay. The total area under the curve is equal to 1. So this is standard normal distribution table. See here, I wanted to find the area between, we know only 3 areas. Mean plus or minus 1 ST 68%, 2 ST, mean plus or minus 2 ST 95%, and mean plus or minus 3 ST covers 99% of the observation. The area is 99%. That means in probability 0.99. Okay. Here I wanted to find the area between 0 to 1.25. Here 1.25. From 0 to 1.25. This area I wanted to find here. Okay. See in the table, how to see in the table I will explain. Please observe, please concentrate here. See here, the Z values. See 1.25 from 0 to 1.25. Here this is 1.2 plus 0.05. That is 1.25. Okay. This corresponding value. 1.25. You can add this one 1.2 plus 0.05, that is 1.25. It is the corresponding value 0.3944, because we are representing with a probability, so that this is the value. If you multiply with 100, then this value is 39.44. What is the area between 0 to 1.25? The area is in percentage 39.44 percentage. In probability 0.3944. Okay. So this is the way you can find the area between two ordinates. Okay. By using standard normal distribution tables. It is not possible with a normal distribution. It is also a normal distribution. It is also for normal distribution, but all normal distributions we can convert to the standard normal distribution by using Z transformation, that equal to Z equal to X minus mean by standard deviation. Then X value same, and you can find the area between any two ordinates. Okay. Next, MCQ. Please write an answer on paper and send through WhatsApp. I've given already my phone number. I'm telling you again, my phone number 90149 26669. This is the first MCQ. Write down a number 1 and answer. Okay. Which measure of central tendency is most commonly used in normal distribution? Write question number and answer. Which measure of central tendency is most commonly used in normal distribution? I have already given one assignment, that is 99% confidence intervals. This is the question 1. Write your answer on paper and send through WhatsApp. Okay. Next, question 2. Which measure of dispersion is most commonly used in normal distribution? Option A, range. B, standard deviation. C, mean deviation. D, none of the above. Next, question 3. Shape of the normal distribution: bathtub, bell shape, V shape, linear shape. Next, question 4. In normal distribution, mean plus or minus 2SD covers 68% of the observations. Option A. Option B, 95% of observations. The option C, 99% of observations, and option D, none of the above. Next, question number 5. What is mean and standard deviation in standard normal distribution? Option A, 0, 1. Option B, 1, 0. Option C, 1, 1. Option D, 0, 0. Mean and standard deviation in a standard normal distribution. Next, question 6. The following table represents mean marks of students in last 3 exams. Student A, mean marks 50. Student B, mean marks 50. Student C, mean marks 50. Comment on performance of among 3 students. Okay. Option A, equally performed, and option B, cannot say with this information. Next, question number 7. Who is consistent batsman among 3? Here we have given a descriptive statistics of 3 players. Player A, his mean score is 52 with the standard deviation 22, and player B, mean score 50 and the standard deviation is 2. And player C, his mean score 52 with the standard deviation 13. So my question is, who is consistent batsman among 3? And question number 8, which set of data shows high dispersion? So set 1, these are the observations, and set 2, these are the observations. By seeing these observations, you can answer this question, which set of data shows high dispersion? Not only the answer you can explain, why you choose a particular option, you have to explain. Okay, don't write only a particular option, just you can write why you choose that option, that description you have to write. Next, question number 9. Zero dispersion means? All the observations are equal, some of the observations are equal. Option C, either A or B. Option D, neither A nor B. Next, question 10. Compare dispersion between two sets. This is a set 1. Observe the observations. And this is set 2. And solve this. Compare dispersion between two sets. These are the 30 individual observations are there. Patients recovered from a particular disease. And the first patient he recovered in 10 days, and second patient 12 days, and etc. And 30th patient recovered in 13 days, last one. So you have to calculate 95% confidence limits. And you consider here this data followed normal distribution. So what you have to do, first you have to calculate mean, next standard deviation. What is the formula for 95% confidence limits? Mean plus or minus 2 standard deviation. You can subtract from the mean 2 times the standard deviation, you will get the lower limit. And if you add, you will get the upper limit. You can calculate 95% confidence limits. Please note down this data and calculate 95% confidence limits. Okay. So this is the question, last question. This is a group 1, you observe here. And this is a group 2. So group 1 have 2 observations, and group 2 2 observations, 2 samples, and group 1 2 samples. Tell me which group is showing more deviation. We can chart. So this is group 1. This is group 2. Which group is showing more deviation? My question, group 1, 2 samples are there, and group 2, 2 samples are there. Which group is showing more deviation? So the response is group 1. So first we have to ask, what is the variable? Suppose if you take height here, the deviation is 0. and here also deviation 0. If you take weight, this group is more deviation than this group. So first you have to ask what is the variable. Here variable, if you take height, deviation is 0. Group 1 deviation 0 height, and group 2 deviation 0. If you take weight, definitely group 1 is showing more deviation than the group 2. Okay. Thank you.